Ever wondered if snails can sleep for 3 years? Well, buckle up because we're about to embark on a slimy journey into the world of snails. Get ready to chuckle and gasp as we traverse this fascinating terrain, one slow, gooey step at a time. We've got a countdown ready for you packed with some of the most amazing jaw-dropping facts about these unhurried inhabitants of our world. So brace yourselves for a whirlwind tour of the top 10 surprising facts about these slow but fascinating creatures. Starting off at number 10, think you're slow in the mornings? Try being a snail. Now, when we say snails are slow, we're not just talking about a leisurely stroll. We're talking about an average speed of 1 millimeter per second. That's right, a snail could take over 2 hours to cross a 1-meter garden path. Let's put that into perspective. If a snail were to compete in the 100-meter sprint at the Olympics, it would finish in about 28 hours. That's longer than it takes to fly from New York to Sydney, Australia. And if a snail decided to embark on a journey around the Earth's equator, well, it would take roughly 34 years. But it's not all bad. This slow pace allows snails to conserve energy and lead a more relaxed life. Their motto could well be, "Slow and steady wins the race." So next time you're feeling slow, just remember, you could be a snail. At number 9, think all snails are small? Think again. We're about to meet a real titan of the snail world, the giant African land snail. This incredible creature is anything but tiny. In fact, it's the largest land snail species on the planet. With a shell that can grow up to 7 inches in length and a body that can stretch to nearly a foot, this snail is a true giant. They're so big they've been mistaken for small tortoises. And here's a fun fact. These snails are not just big in size, they're also big eaters, munching on over 500 different types of plants. But don't let their size intimidate you. Despite being colossal, these gentle giants are quite harmless and fascinating creatures. They carry their homes on their backs and lead a pretty slow-paced life. So, not all snails can fit in your garden, some need a park. Coming in at number 8, ever wished you could sleep for years? Snails beat us to it. Now folks, this isn't your typical afternoon nap. Snails can actually hibernate. Yes, you heard it right, hibernate. Just like bears in winter, snails can curl up in their shells and snooze away, but their sleep can last for up to 3 years. Imagine that, 3 years of uninterrupted sleep. No alarm clocks, no deadlines, just peace and quiet. This long sleep is usually a response to harsh weather conditions. When it's too hot or too cold, snails simply check out and clock in some serious sleep hours. They seal themselves in their shells with a layer of mucus which hardens to protect them from the outside world. So, next time you hit the snooze button and wish you could sleep a little longer, remember the humble snail. Because in the world of slumber, they are the undisputed champions. So, if you thought your cat was a heavy sleeper, think again. At number 7, ever wondered why you only see snails at night? Well, it's because snails are primarily nocturnal. That's right, they're night owls, or should we say, night snails. Why do they love the night so much, you ask? It's all about survival. The cooler, damp conditions of the nighttime provide the perfect environment for these slimy little creatures. During the day, the sun's heat can dry out their bodies, leading to dehydration. So, they prefer to stay hidden in cool, moist areas, patiently waiting for the sun to set. Once darkness falls, it's party time for the snails. They emerge to eat, mate, and lay eggs, all under the cover of night. Their sluggish pace is no hindrance in the darkness, where predators are fewer and their moisture-loving bodies can thrive. So don't be fooled by their slow and steady demeanor. When the sun goes down, snails live it up, embracing their nocturnal nature. So while you're sleeping, snails are having the time of their lives. Number 6 might surprise you. Snails are not as picky eaters as you might think. Far from being fussy, these little creatures are the ultimate opportunists when it comes to food. They're practically the foodies of the animal kingdom, albeit slow-moving ones. Most snails are herbivores, chomping on a wide array of plant materials, leaves, stems, and even the bark of trees. But some snails, like the sea snail, are carnivorous. They're the predators of the snail world, munching on worms and other small creatures. Unexpectedly, they also consume surprising items like small stones. Why? Well, it's not because they've lost their marbles. These stones provide much-needed calcium to strengthen their shells. And let's not forget about decaying matter. Yes, snails are crucial in breaking down decomposing organic material, helping to return nutrients back to the earth. So if you thought your diet was diverse, imagine being a snail. Cracking into number 5, ever wondered why snails carry a shell? Well, the reason is far more fascinating than you might think. These shells aren't just mobile homes, they're a crucial part of the snail's body, growing with them from the moment they're born. Just as our bones provide structure and protection, A snail's shell serves a similar purpose. It's their suit of armor, their shield against the world, but it's also their water reservoir and a cozy resting place. One of the most intriguing aspects is that a snail's shell grows with them. As the snail gets older and bigger, the shell does too. It's a lifelong companion, spiraling out in ever-widening whorls. The shell even contains a record of the snail's growth, like the rings of a tree. So a snail's shell isn't just a home, it's a part of them. Scene script. Sliding into number 4, think humans live long, try being a snail. Let's talk snails and age. While our little slimy friends might not be sipping on the fountain of youth, they sure do have a knack for sticking around. In the snail world, age isn't just a number, it's a marathon. And these guys are in it for the long haul. Most common garden snails live for about 1 to 3 years. But hold on to your shells, folks, because some snail species can live up to 15 years. That's right, 15 years of slow-paced, leaf-munching, shell-toting life. The real showstopper? The ocean quahog clam, a kind of sea snail which can live for more than 500 years. That's like living through the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, and the invention of the internet, all in one lifetime. So, snails don't just move at a snail's pace, they live at one too. Peeking into number 3, snails have a unique way of seeing the world. Unlike us, with our eyes firmly fixed in our heads, snails have their eyes located at the ends of their tentacles. Yes, you heard that right, tentacles. This quirky arrangement allows them to move their eyes in many directions and get a comprehensive view of their surroundings. Now you might be wondering, how well can a snail see? Well, their vision isn't quite as sharp as ours. They can't see colors, and their view of the world is somewhat blurry, but that doesn't stop them from navigating their environment. They're able to detect light, dark, and movement, which is pretty much all they need to find food and avoid danger. And here's a fun fact. Snails can retract their tentacles for protection, pulling their eyes in with them. It's like having built-in binoculars you can tuck away when you're not using them. So, snails see the world a lot differently than we do. At number 2, snails have a love life that's as slow as they are. Their romantic escapades are indeed a slow dance. Now, if you thought your dating life was complicated, just think about the snails for a moment. Most snails are hermaphrodites, which means they have both male and female reproductive organs. This dual gender feature leads to some unique mating rituals. When two snails meet and decide they're interested in each other, they engage in an elaborate courtship that can last for hours. They circle around each other, touching with their tentacles, and eventually exchange sperm packets. But here's a fun twist. Some species of snails practice something called love darting. In this process, one snail shoots a calcium dart at the other one. This isn't some Cupid's arrow, it's more of a biological strategy to increase the chances of fertilization. So, the world of snail romance is far from simple. It's a slow, complex, and sometimes even a bit prickly. So when it comes to love, snails have a unique approach. And finally, at number 1, snails aren't as slow as you might think. Yes, you heard it right. These seemingly lethargic garden dwellers have a hidden gear that they shift into when the need arises. When underwater or in a dire situation like escaping from predators, snails can ramp up their pace quite remarkably. While on land, a common garden snail can travel at a leisurely pace of about 1 meter per hour, but when the stakes are high, they can really put the pedal to the slime. Let's take the freshwater snail, for instance. It can reach speeds of up to 50 meters per hour underwater. That's a mind-blowing contrast to its terrestrial counterpart. And it's not just about survival. Snails also pick up the pace during mating season, showing off their speedy side to potential mates. So, even when it comes to speed, snails can surprise us. So, there you have it, the top 10 surprising facts about snails. We've delved into the world of these slow yet fascinating creatures and revealed some jaw-dropping truths, from their Rip Van Winkle-like sleep marathons that last up to 3 years, to their surprising, albeit relative speed, comparable to a tortoise's sprint. And let's not forget their extraordinary eyesight, with tentacles acting as eyes, giving them a unique perspective on the world. Remember, no matter how slow or slimy, there's always something fascinating about the world of snails.